Good morning, another lovely morning. But yet again, another company has reached out saying no level awarded in this Evergreen assessment. They're in a state of panic. What can they do? How can they fix it? They want level one. They need level one. So I just said, well, first of all, breathe. It's usually really fixable. So I took them through 5 different things that help them understand where that gap was. So the first thing I would always say is just check that submitting legal entity. So I appreciate businesses, the structure of them often really quite messy. It's a lot simpler if it's just one business and then you've just got the same all the evidence says that business trading name, but it's not usually the case. So what I want to make sure is that everything aligns correctly against the submitting legal entity. I'm also looking for the carbon reduction plan, making sure that it's available online. And I want to make sure that I can easily locate it as well, that the submission is pointing to the right place. I don't like copy text on a website of a carbon reduction plan. I prefer a downloadable PDF. I love if you can have a audit trail as well. So I love previous years. But the carbon reduction plan should be signed, and it should be dated, and it should be following that PPN guidance as well. So you don't need the fanciest ESG report in the world. I love an ESG report, but you don't need that. It can just be following the template, just ticking that box. The emissions data as well. So that's a third thing that I would be talking about, making sure that that is current and complete. So I had something the other day that the submission was telling me one thing about the emissions data and the carbon reduction plan was telling me something else. So I have to make sure that it's all aligned. You have to be telling the machine, the Evergreen submission, that this has been your carbon footprint of the year, and it's got to be aligned with what everything else is saying. So that's a complete figure for your scope 1, your scope 2, and then the relevant scope 3 categories as well. Making sure that your policies and evidence are complete. So here I just keep on asking the question, saying, well, if a reviewer was picking up this document, would they be able to see the evidence that supports the answer? So every single piece of evidence that should be attached to the submission should make sense, and that questions are evidenced as well. Really try to use that. The other piece as well, so I would say this is my 5th point, is that the Atamis answers match the published evidence. So I'm just reiterating that piece. So I'm constantly looking for inconsistencies. So where it's check boxes that have been completed, or they've said no to certain things when they should have said yes, they've not got a net zero carbon commitment when they do, and all of those sorts of things. I want it's approval days. It's usually that error. That is honestly most of the time there is an error in just how you've submitted it into the Atamis portal, and it's just one inaccuracy, and it creates uncertainty for the reviewer. So it's really worth doing a line by line check. Treating the evidence and the website and the supporting documents as one whole evidence pack, rather than separate pieces. So don't just as one piece, making sure that it's all talking, making sure that you are I like to, as well, you're trying to prove to the Evergreen assessment that that you've got your house in order, and that you're moving things forward as well. I often work with companies that have only just been set up, they've only been trading for a few months, but they need to do this blinking Evergreen assessment. What does it mean to them? Well, it's about actually setting forward a carbon reduction plan, the modern slavery statement that is proportional and relevant to where their business is at that time, how long it's been operating for, and trying to complete those gaps. So maybe saying that, it's an estimated consumption carbon footprint of the year, but being really transparent in this documentation to tell the reviewer as to where you're at. And I absolutely get it. No level awarded. It must be just incredibly frustrating, and it must be it's just like the last thing you need. You know, I appreciate for most people, it's just not their, it's not their forte, is calculating their carbon footprint and pieces like that. And they're not even sometimes some people that are particularly IT literate, and that makes it all the more challenging. I get it, but it's not that big a mountain. Honestly, we can manage this. If you're having any no level awarded, just find my website. There's a bunch of resources here. Watch some of the videos, or reach out to me and just say, Joe, can you come and scan this submission? I'm having this outcome, and you know, I want to get securely into level 1, which is entirely achievable. So best of luck. Bye.